Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I'm Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. India and New Zealand have concluded a comprehensive free trade agreement, a move set to significantly deepen economic ties and boost trade, investment and cooperation between the two countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon announced the successful conclusion of the FTA negotiations following a telephonic conversation. Notably, the discussions on the India-New Zealand FTA began during Prime Minister Luxon's visit to India in March this year, making this one of India's fastest ever trade deals, concluded in a record time of just 9 months. Both Prime Ministers have described the agreement as historic and mutually beneficial. They expressed confidence in doubling bilateral trade within the next 5 years, alongside the planned investment inflows of $20 billion from New Zealand into India over the next 15 years. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal, speaking on the landmark agreement, said the FTA is centered around people and opportunities which support the Indian farmers, the entrepreneurs, the students and the innovators. Listen in.
Our complementary strengths between New Zealand and India, whether in agri-tech, whether in food processing, whether in clean energy and renewable energy, whether through mining, whether through our talent and skills of our young professionals, opportunities for dual degrees and setting up campuses of prestigious universities in India, while also encouraging Indian students to go to New Zealand and gain high quality education and promoting MSME manufacturing in India. This FTA provides opportunities for all sections of our export community, opens up new doors for new exporters with new products wishing to diversify their export basket, and at the same time helps every region of the country, north, south, east, west, northeast, in different areas. It has some very interesting new elements of technical collaboration in fruit cultivation, in honey production and other areas, including dairy, where they will bring latest modern technology to India to help our farmers, our dairy persons increase their incomes. It will certainly be a great boost for labor intensive sectors like textiles, apparel, home decor, footwear, rubber and leather, while also encouraging export of automobiles, auto components, machinery, electronic goods, electricals, pharmaceuticals.
Just a quick recap of the key highlights of the India-New Zealand FTA, which include elimination and reduction of tariffs on 95% of New Zealand's exports to India, India offering tariff cuts across 70% of tariff lines, covering 95% of bilateral trade. Also, major commitments have been secured in IT and IT-enabled services, with India receiving most favoured nation status in 139 subsectors. Also, a new temporary employment entry visa pathway for skilled Indian professionals, which means 5,000 visas at any given time, allowing a stay of up to 3 years in the country. A dedicated agri-technology action plan on kiwi fruit, apples and honey, promoting productivity, research partnerships, technology, quality enhancement and also value chain development. All of this comes alongside New Zealand's commitment to facilitate $20 billion in investments into India over the next 15 years. So on the show today, we are going to explore what this agreement means for unlocking the full potential of the India-New Zealand partnership and the opportunities that it opens up across multiple sectors for both the countries. Two distinguished experts now join us on the program to take this conversation forward. I'm delighted to welcome Ambassador Jayant Dasgupta, former Indian ambassador to the WTO. Ambassador, thank you for joining in. Welcome to the program. I'm also pleased to welcome Dr. Anshu Joshi, Professor of International Relations, School of International Studies, JNU. Professor, thank you for your time. Welcome to the program. So we'll talk about the specialities of the comprehensive agreement in greater detail in due course of the program with your perspectives on what are some of the significant takeaways. But Professor Joshi, to begin with, since this is the 7th FTA that India has signed in recent years, this is the third one in this year itself after our FTAs with both the UK and Oman. This one with New Zealand comes in just a record 9 months. What does this range of engagement across different regions indicate about India's growing role and importance in global economic diplomacy?
First and foremost, thank you so much, Tina, for having me on this show for this very significant talk. And yes, this FTA that we have finalized with New Zealand in record time of 9 months. Today, the announcement has been made, and the negotiations of this FTA between India and New Zealand started when the Prime Minister of New Zealand visited India in March 2025. And now this FTA has been finalized. And before this FTA, we have signed another FTAs, partial trade agreements also with other like-minded nations belonging to different continents in the world, from West Asia also, in Europe also, within Asia itself. And that shows India's commitment to diversify its market, its outreach to other like-minded nations, and ensure its economic progress, while also creating a win-win situation with the like-minded nations who collaborate with India and who want to grow with India, as in we are the fastest growing economy of the world. And if I speak about this particular FTA, it also reflects what India has been doing, as in we are calling it FTA diplomacy, or in economic diplomacy, India is achieving in few days we see these kind of announcements, and with that the economy of India of course boosts. So it is while elaborating and strengthening the trade relations with countries like New Zealand now, India is ensuring not only its own economic progress but a good life for each and every citizen of India. So when I talk about this particular FTA, this is like a very significant one with which our exports to New Zealand will get zero duty access, and there would be tariff elimination across all tariff lines.
Absolutely.
Which is very significant announcement.
We will talk about the trade benefits and some of the concessions in other areas as well. So all in all, the crux is that in multiple sectors, this FTA is going to deepen the engagement between India and New Zealand. We'll discuss some of the specific ones in due course. But let me also bring in Ambassador into the discussion. Ambassador, the government calls this FTA as a new generation, balanced and forward-looking agreement. In your view, what makes it different from the earlier such agreements that we've signed, and especially with countries like India and Oman that we've signed this year?
Needs to be borne in mind is that New Zealand has FTAs with both the ASEAN and China, and many other countries as well. Now, India, had to walk out of the RCEP negotiations at the last moment, which was a 16-nation negotiation, with India being one and 15 other countries, 10 ASEAN, then Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Korea, and China. Now, this agreement seals the gap, the last remaining gap. Apart from China, India has now FTAs with ASEAN, with Japan, with Korea from before, and Australia, of course, it signed a couple of years ago, and now New Zealand. So barring China, India has FTAs with all the countries of RCEP barring China. So that is a huge achievement, because it will enable India to reap the benefits of synergy with all these other economies, like, I have mentioned the countries just now. So that is the first point. The second point is that India has gained a lot of access in the services sector. And in services, our trade was bilateral trade was about $1.24 billion last year, and our merchandise trade was not very impressive. The bilateral trade was only $1.3 billion. So services has a tremendous potential to increase vis-a-vis New Zealand. And one of the things which we are looking forward to is greater cooperation in tourism, in the health sector, in the IT and IT-enabled services sector, and so on. There is a special protocol also in this agreement on healthcare and on Ayurveda. So all these things put together, if you look at it, it is not only a bilateral FTA which has to be looked at through the prism of India's larger engagements with countries in the region, which is the Asia Pacific. So that is one thing. And the last point I wanted to mention is that New Zealand is a small country with, in terms of population, with a population of only about 53 lakhs, of which about 2,92,000 people, which is about 5.5% of the population, is Indian. And many of them have gone there to first to study, and then they have stayed on. Many have gone on work visas as skilled professionals. And both these categories, students who go there to study, especially STEM, science, technology, engineering, and management, they have now been given an opportunity to stay on for 3 more years post study work visa under this agreement. And for working professionals also, 5,000 visas are to be given. And there is another third category, which is a working holiday visa, which means that people can go on a holiday and also work during their period of contract, and that will be for 12 months. But this will also enable a lot of people from India to go to New Zealand and explore the possibilities of getting employment there. So this will lead to, I think, greater people to people, I think, interactions, exploring each other's markets, and possibilities of collaborating and taking this partnership forward.
Certainly. Professor Joshi, how do you look at this stronger emphasis that the FTA has on talent mobility? There are professional students, there is a concept of working holiday visas which have been covered under this. How does all of this reshape our people-to-people collaboration and the soft power diplomacy for which India has been, has made its outreach in different parts of the world as well?
Definitely, when you look at people-to-people connects between India and New Zealand, it's a very significant base upon which our strategic partnership can be seen with New Zealand. And we have very good bilateral trade as well as strategic relations with New Zealand. And with this FTA, we can see that in terms of people's mobility or skilled professionals mobility, there would be a wonderful opportunity for the entrepreneurs, especially the young entrepreneurs, women-led entrepreneurs, youths, artisans, and other skilled professionals. And there would be a great opportunity for labor-intensive sectors as well as like in the sector of textile and leather and footwear and rubber and so on. So there would be a positive impact on our manufacturing sectors like engineering and automobiles and electronics and machinery and plastics, pharmaceuticals, of course, chemicals. So there would be a big gain from this agreement. So apart from like overall picture wherein we can see that how this FTA would deepen trade and economic cooperation between the two nations, we can see how people-to-people connects by job creation, because there is a focus on innovation, entrepreneurship, and job creation. So this will definitely boost the landscape in terms of our mobility of skilled professionals to New Zealand. As in, we can see that the population of New Zealand, we can't say that it's a very big nation, but in terms of our diaspora there, our diaspora contributes significantly to New Zealand as well as to economic growth of India. And there is a lot of space there wherein our people can go and work. So from that partnerships perspective, centers of excellences and access to New Zealand's advanced technologies would also be accessible. So these are the new initiatives for which this FTA has significant points, and even the farmers would largely benefit from this FTA. But then I would also like to mention one important point, that India has protected its sensitive domestic sectors like dairy, sugar, coffee, spices, edible oils, and so on from this to safeguard the interests of our farmers and dairy producers from the market access and this duty-free access. But definitely this FTA opens new avenues for not only our services sector but also for our entrepreneurs, for innovators, and for our skilled professionals.
You spoke about the farmers. In that aspect, there is a very interesting farm technology collaboration which covers kiwi fruit, apples, honey. How do you look at this setting a new model for India's agricultural diplomacy, our food security partnerships? So while we are safeguarding the interests of our farmers in sensitive areas, but at the same time, we are also getting into these collaborations in areas that will hugely benefit our farming population.
That's a very good question. So this FTA talks about a new initiative, as in to boost the agricultural productivity, and for that there is a provision of agricultural productivity partnership between the two nations, under which, as I said, the Center of Excellences to access New Zealand's technology in the area of agriculture would be accessible to our farmers, and Indian farmers are expected to greatly benefit from higher productivity due to this access. There would be an improved quality, and definitely it would result in increase in income of our farmers. So there are tangible action items that have been set, and horticultural production is the focus of this entire initiative. So kiwi fruit, honey, and apples are actually aimed at supporting sustainable growth in this sector. And as I said, that India has protected its sensitive domestic sectors like dairy and other products like sugar and edible oil and coffee and so on, to protect our farmers, MSMEs, and our dairy producers. But all in all, if we look at the kind of opportunities that this partnership, especially in the area of agriculture, would create, it is humongous, as in this agreement places a strong emphasis on agriculture, and our farmers are expected to gain improved access to New Zealand's markets, its technology, and help in other areas. So the market of fruits, vegetables, coffee, cereals, and processed foods are the aim that our farmers would be able to target, or would be able to leverage from. And New Zealand has also committed to invest 20 billion USD in India for a period of 15 years of time, like what we have done with while signing the FTA with the European Union. It is also in the phase of finalization, and we are expecting FTAs with EU and GCC, Canada and Israel on the similar model. So definitely it's going to target our manufacturing sector, agricultural sector, services, also innovation, and all in all, it would impact the economic growth of both the nations. Tina.
Absolutely. It also sets the tone for a long-term strategic confidence in terms of how we take our partnership forward. Ambassador, from a geo-economic angle, how significant is New Zealand's commitment of investing $20 billion in India? Do you think it demonstrates that trust in India's long-term growth story, and perhaps the biggest takeaway from this FTA, which is aimed at unlocking the untapped potential of our partnership?
Well, $20 billion is not very much in terms of our economy, which is about 3.8 trillion. And of course, for New Zealand, it is going to be over a 15-year period. So the average would be less than $1.5 billion per annum, which really isn't very much if you look at it in perspective. But the main thing which is there is, of course, this confidence building exercise that New Zealand would feel confident of investing in India, and it has given a commitment to do so. That is the most important thing in this regard, not the amount really speaking the value. The second aspect which has been touched upon by Professor Joshi is about this technology cooperation. And in terms of agriculture, if you look at Indian agriculture, one of the main problems has been that we have been too much focused on cereal production. Of course, it has its historical reasons, because after independence we had many problems in feeding our own population. Then the big jolt in 1967 when we had a huge drought, and so on and so forth. So cereal production has been our main focus area. Now we need to move away from that and focus on horticulture, not only for diversifying our crop base and for improving the incomes of farmers, but also it has great export potential. New Zealand is also a significant exporter of wines, and for that it grows wine grapes. So from all these perspectives, technological collaboration with New Zealand will give India an opportunity to gain from the New Zealand excellence in some of these niche areas which it has already developed. Apart from dairy, where though a very small nation of 5.3 million, in New Zealand has a very significant presence in the global dairy market. And that is something which we also look forward to. Of course, our Amul and the Mother Dairy Project and the state dairy producers unions, they are all doing very well. But they could also, I think, benefit from the exchange of experience, of technology with New Zealand. So all in all, I think we are looking forward to not only increasing our merchandise trade and our services trade, but also to the technological collaboration and to deepening the people-to-people ties, and for having more Indian professionals going from India, whether they are doctors, engineers, accountants, lawyers, and providing services to the New Zealand economy, which of course, all said and done, has not been growing very rapidly. About 1.1% growth is what it has shown in the last year. But it has the potential, and that is where the Indian diaspora can come in, the Indian, skilled professionals who are fanning out all over the world can also contribute to the growth of the New Zealand
Absolutely.
economy.
So, in terms of investment, the amount may not be as much as compared to our economy, but in terms of the long-term opportunities, so be it in terms of talent and mobility, be it services, perhaps also in terms of the tariff liberalization, New Zealand has made concessions that perhaps it has not made so far for other big economies. So, in terms of long-term opportunities, it's going to be mutually beneficial for both countries. From a geostrategic point, Ambassador, we are all aware of the Indo-Pacific competition, which is intensifying and evolving with each passing day. Do you see that this FTA catalyzing similar economic ties with countries in the region, with, say, Australia, with other Pacific islands, other regional players?
Well, New Zealand is a part of the Five Eyes information sharing and intelligence network, with the US, Canada, UK, and Australia being the other four partners. So having deeper ties with New Zealand, and of course New Zealand doesn't have a very large navy, but we already have this quad with Japan, with Australia, and the US. And Australia, just the other day, there was this statement which from the Australian Prime Minister, which said that New Zealand is family. They are like our brothers. So having closer ties, stronger ties with New Zealand and Australia both, that would help us in the Indo-Pacific region, and it could be further strengthened and extended by getting into agreements with other like-minded countries in the Pacific region which want to trade with us, which want to develop closer ties with us.
Okay, to wrap up the conversation, Professor, one last question from you on do you see this FTA setting a benchmark for India's next phase of global trade engagement, and especially at a time when we are marching towards our Viksit Bharat goal of 2047?
We can see after finalization of this particular FTA, there are 4 more FTAs in line, and we are in active talks with the European Union, wherein negotiations for a broad-based trade and investment agreement is on the line. We are online with another important FTA with GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council, with Canada and with Israel. And definitely it shows India's commitment not only for Bharat 2047, but nations and institutions like ASEAN. India is signing all these FTA and comprehensive economic partnership agreements also.
That's why, the government has called it a future-ready FTA, which aligns with our Viksit Bharat 2047 vision, and it transitions India's role and significance from the regional power dynamics to the global power dynamics. 11 FTAs is what Professor Joshi spoke about, 7 of which we've already signed in recent years, 3 only in this year itself, and there are a couple of more which on which the negotiations are underway, and hopefully in the next year we will have some more FTAs with several countries and regional blocs. With that, we'll have to wrap up this conversation. Thank you once again, Ambassador and Professor, for joining in, sharing your thoughts with us and our viewers. To your viewers, thank you very much for your time as well.
संसद टीवी के और भी प्रोग्राम्स देखने के लिए सब्सक्राइब करें हमारा यूट्यूब चैनल और हाँ, इन्हें लाइक और शेयर करना ना भूलें।